Yo, what up? This is B-Cide here. You know, people always tell you to say yes to opportunities, okay? They tell you never know when another one's gonna come around. And honestly, most of the time, that's probably really good advice. But the hardest decision I ever made was saying no. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but back in 2014, another artist reached out to me about putting together a tour. Now, we had spent months talking about it, going back and forth, figuring out how we can make it happen. I'd been on the road before with Project Born, so we were just talking about the venues, the shows, all the little details that go into touring. And the crazy part is, I already said yes to this, okay? So this wasn't just an idea anymore. The tour was moving forward. Flyers had already been printed, everything was becoming real. Everything was going, like I said, the flyers, the internet, marketing, all that shit. And the whole problem about it is my body wasn't working. That's what's going in, or that's what's going on. So by that point, my multiple sclerosis had gotten to the point where I'm using a cane. Walking wasn't easy anymore. I was taking injections every other night. Every single day felt different. And even though I wanted this opportunity more than anything, I started really realizing something I didn't really want to admit. I couldn't do it. Now, I tried to convince myself that I could. I kept thinking maybe I could figure this out. Maybe I could push through it. Maybe I can just will myself to make it happen. But there are just some things that willpower can't fix. And I remember sitting there trying to figure out how I was going to make all of this work. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized I wasn't making a plan. I was making excuses. And now, not because I was lazy, not because I didn't care, but because I wanted it so badly that I didn't want to accept what was right in front of my face. Um, I kept telling myself I had control of the MS, but the real truth was MS had control of me. And that was really one of the hardest things I've ever had to admit. So I had to make a phone call I never really wanted to make. And I had to tell them that I couldn't do the tour. You know, uh, Not because I didn't want to, but because I physically couldn't. And man, that really hurt. And at the time, I honestly thought that if I couldn't tour, maybe my whole career was over. Really, I thought that's how you reached people. You got in a van, you drove from city to city, you played your music, and if you couldn't do that anymore, then maybe that was it. But if 2026 could sit me down with 2014 me, I wouldn't tell him everything was going to be easy, that's for sure. I wouldn't even tell him that I'd stop being frustrated about everything. I'd just tell him one thing, and that's to keep creating, keep making music, because one day there's going to be a way for people to reach you, and that's what's going on with it. And I'm not gonna lie, everybody. I just lost everything that I was doing. I really just fucking lost everything. Fucking shit. And you know what? I've been fucking with the or I've been fucking with the music. I've been fucking with this video, and I'm not making excuses about fucking with the video and shit. But really, I fuck with it because I write a script for it, get it all together, and fucking try and get this shit together. And that's why I'm leaving this shit in, because I'm doing this on the real. I'm not editing this fucking shit. I'm trying to be real with you guys. And yeah, I use a fucking teleprompter because it's hard to get all my thoughts out about all the fucking video and shit. So I am trying to roll back through, trying to talk about this. So, okay, I'll start about here. All right, if 2026 me could sit down with 2014 me, I really wouldn't tell him that everything's going to be easy. I'd tell him one thing, though, because you're still not going to stop getting frustrated. But I would tell myself this one thing in 2014. I would say keep creating, keep making music, because one day there's gonna be a way for you to reach out to people that you can't even imagine yet, You're gonna find an audience, or maybe they're actually gonna find you, because back then I thought saying no to a tour meant saying no to my future. And looking back, I realized that I wasn't saying no to my future. I was just saying no to one version of it. And, life has a funny way of changing the road you're on, the road. And sometimes the path that you thought you were supposed to take disappears completely. But that doesn't mean that your purpose disappears with it. Sometimes it just means that you're going to get there a different way. And that's what I say. Stay strong. Stay wicked. Go to 55strong.cc. Check out the site. Sign up for the street team. Sign up for the inner circle, where you get a free exclusive track that will never hit streaming once every month. All right. Peace out.